Hi, Adventures from the Shed Roadshow here at Card Universe with Joey.
Hi, I'm Joey. Hope you had a happy holiday.
Yes, it's right after Christmas. We're here at Card Universe today. We are actually going to play this thing. You may have seen our Magic the Gathering beginner set playthrough, where Joey and I opened that up and we played it. We're going to do Pokemon today, and Pokemon's beginner set is called the Battle Academy. Kind of a cool thing.
I love that it looks like a board game, but it's everything that you need.
So if you don't mind, set that on the floor next to you, and we're going to start looking at what's in the box. Now, to be fair, I have already played this, so it has been opened, but we're going to go through it as if it hadn't been yet. We've got to read this first. I'll read this first, gives us some of that info. I'll hand that over to Joey, and I will open up the playing board that you get. It's pretty cool. So we're going to set this out, but we're going to finish opening up the other stuff too. So as part of it, I think on the on that it talks about, well, actually, Joe, if you don't mind reading some of it.
Yeah, for sure. We've already finished a few of them. It says to give the tutorial guide with Cinderace on the cover and the deck with the same image on it to one of the players.
And since you read it, you get that one first.
Thank you very much.
So that's that deck. Whoop, I've got to hold it in the right place here. See if I can figure out the camera. It's all backwards, and there it is. Hey.
I imagine there's going to be some fire Pokemon in that deck.
Yeah.
And then it says to give the tutorial guide with Pikachu on the cover and the deck with the same image to the other
You see
player.
the Pikachu one.
So then you will be Pikachu.
So I will play that one. And then also in the box, things that we won't go over as part of this, but we'll talk about here. There is the rules reference, and it's very good for just the basic rules of Pokemon. Has all the info in it. And
It says next to take out the damage counters.
yeah, and I've already punched those out, so I've got them in a little Ziploc baggie here, but I'm going to put them on the table where we can reach them. Ta-da! Move that sucker out of the way. Also, you get a Pokemon Live code card that you can use to add to your app, so you can get some cards from that.
Now, does it give you the cards in each of the decks?
I don't know because I haven't tried it.
Gotcha.
That's a pretty good point. No, it actually says you get. Looks like you get this this booster.
Gotcha. So you get one free
Digital
booster.
reward. That's what it looks like. Yes. Okay.
Cool.
And then the advanced deck here is the Eevee deck. And that's one we won't be playing, but it's the one once you've gotten into the game some, it tells you how to play the advanced deck. And then, of course, I'm sure some people are familiar with the tokens that you get with Pokemon. It's your flip heads, tails. We do that here, I know, because I have opened this one already.
I like that it has the mascot for each of the decks.
Yeah,
That's very cool.
And I'll tell you, I don't even think I noticed that. So, very nicely done.
Now, the last step is to open up our tutorial guide to page 1 and to follow the guide.
Nice. All right. So I am playing the player 2 deck, and it tells you don't shuffle. Now, here's where I will tell you we're going to have to reverse them because I put them in order, but I put them in order face up.
Got it.
So kind of the same thing we had to do with the Magic stuff before. So our deck goes up here. So I'm just going to do these quickly, and this will put the cards in the right order. One of the nice things about these cards is they are numbered for the set. So these decks have 60 cards, and right on the card, I can show this once I've finished here. I'll put my first card on the camera, and you can actually see the little number. It's very useful for me, at least, when I had to reset the decks, but it tells you this right in the beginner guide as well, that if your deck is out of order, that you can just go ahead and fix them by looking at the numbers on the card. So if I put my Yamper here and take a look at the card, you can see right down here is the number 1. So it's the number 1 card.
Now, do you think that the Magic deck should have been numbered like that?
You know what? That brings a whole different question into it insofar as value of the cards.
Yeah.
It would be a beginner set card, and that would be interesting. I'm going to say yes, because I think that would be a neat thing. It would be neat to have those cards specifically labeled for
it. Would have made them uniquely tied to the set.
Cool. All right. So we've got our decks. We're not shuffling because don't.
Normally
shuffle.
we would.
Yeah. So I've got the Pikachu deck. Right. And it says right at the beginning, do not shuffle your deck. Your deck is in a specific order. And that's the order we were just talking about. And it says, it even calls out that number that I mentioned there.
Mhm.
And then it says, if you have any questions, you can find the answers in the rules reference. And you can also watch videos explaining specific rules at Pokemon's website. So setting up to play. So, of course, we put our decks where it says deck right on the board.
Yep. We did that without even thinking about it.
Yeah, because we're so smart.
Yeah. Well, the instructions are just that good.
They're that good. Yeah. And then what do? We draw the top 7 cards. And this also, for me, I like this idea at least where they tell you to put them face up. So in a way, it's good that we can both see what's going on. So we're both learning how each deck is played while we do it. So it says draw the top 7 cards of your deck and put them face up on the table in front of you. Now, if we put them like right at the edge, they should, we may or may not see them on the camera. The closer to this side, we'll be able to see them.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But in the meantime, we don't need to see them per se. Just Joey and I need to see them. You folks out there watching don't need to see them yet.
You get to keep some of the
Yeah,
surprise.
You'll see them individually as we play. So we've got 7 cards out here. And let's see.
Now, does it tell you that you go first?
I think it probably does. What does it say here? Draw the top 7 and put them face up. It just tells you which one to play.
Yeah. I think actually, yeah, unlike Magic.
Actually, mine says your opponent will go first.
Yeah, but we put Pokemon out on the field at the same time before we begin, unlike Magic.
Yes, that's true. We do finish going through the setup. And then after we both finished setting up, then we begin to play.
Okay.
So I'll continue with mine and then you can read yours.
Yeah.
I did the top 7. I play Yamper from my hand to the spot labeled active spot. And I may only play a basic Pokemon in this way. You see the word basic in the upper left corner of the card featuring. So let me put that up there and we can look at that card and you can see right up there is basic. So it tells you it is the basic Pokemon. That's the one I put in my active spot. And then I take 4 more cards from my deck and they go face down at prize cards. 2, 3, 4. That's on the left side of the board. It doesn't matter which spot they're in. I win by knocking out 4 of my opponent's Pokemon and taking all of my prize cards. So as you knock out a Pokemon, you take a prize card.
So they're removed from your deck.
Yes.
Gotcha.
They're put to the side. So now if you want to go ahead and do your setup.
It says that I need to place Sizzlipede in my active spot. And you can see he is also a basic Pokemon.
Neat.
And I'll put him right here in the active spot. And then take 4 cards out of my deck and put them face down in the prize card for that. 1, 2, 3, and 4.
And then it says at the bottom of that page, your opponent will go first. Yours probably says you go first.
I will go first.
Nice.
Turn the next page to begin my first turn. All right.
So now I wait. This is one of these interesting things to me with Pokemon. You really don't do anything on the other player's turn.
Yeah.
You just
there is no
you sit and
interaction.
wait.
Yeah.
So for me, right at the top of my page, it says once your opponent has finished, it's time to take your first turn. So I'm pretty much doing nothing. So go ahead, Joey.
Yeah. I will draw the top card of my deck and add it to my hand. I'm going to put it next to my Ninetales. It is a fire energy card. Take an energy card from my hand. I'll take this one. And attach it to Sizzlipede, as shown to the right. And you can probably see it right here. To attach it underneath it, kind of to the side here.
Yep. Cool.
So I will attach it. So that way we will both know how much energy he had. And it says you can only attach 1 energy card during your turn. And then it goes on to say that the white symbol means it can be energy of any color. And I cannot attack because it is my first turn, or it is the first turn of the game. So now it is your turn, Joe.
And another interesting thing on the board, it does tell you all the phases of your turn. I want to say phases, the parts of your turn. I can't remember if they have a specific name in Pokemon. In Magic, they call them phases and steps. But there are different steps for a Pokemon turn. You draw a card, you put basic Pokemon into play, attach energy, retreat your active Pokemon, evolve Pokemon, play trainer cards, and attack. The last thing you do on your turn is attack. So don't do anything, or don't attack if you planned on doing anything else.
There is no second main phase.
Yes. All right, so for me, at the beginning of my turn, I draw the top card, and it's an energy for me. I'm going to put right along with my other cards here, and I take an energy from my hand and attach it to Yemper, just like your opponent did. So I'm going to add this lightning energy. And it also talks about how the little star, the clear star symbol is any color or any type of energy. And then because it's my turn and Joey's already taken the first turn, I can attack. So on my turn, I'm attacking with Bite. And with Bite, we take one of the counters that has a 10 on it because Bite does 10 damage.
Mhm.
And we put that 10 on the opponent's Sizzlipede. And it also mentions don't attacking does not use the energy. So it is just, it doesn't get used up. It stays with the creature, with the Pokemon.
So now my Sizzlipede had 70 hit points.
Yep.
Easy to keep track of.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. One of the interesting things with Pokemon is that these counters are big numbers. So you can see them from anywhere on the table when you're playing. And Pokemon being just a 2-player game, it also makes it easy to be able to see everything in one spot, like on this board here.
Now, Joe, I have a question for you. Is there a benefit to going first? If you can't attack and then you get attacked first?
To me, it's kind of like Magic. Is there a benefit to going first? Some of the times it's going to just depend on your deck and how you feel about how it's going to play. Because there's always some penalty to starting first, but you also are the first to put something out.
Right.
So there's 2 different ways to look at it.
Understood.
So in this case, I did that, and attacking was the last thing I could do on my turn. So now it's Joey's second turn. Move on to the second turn.
Now, something that I've noticed that's the difference between this and the Magic guidebook is that it doesn't really talk about what your opponent did on their turn.
No.
And on the Magic book, we had kind of in flavor response.
Yep, exactly.
This, it goes straight to drawing a card from the top of my deck, which I will do.
Now, interestingly, since it told us to put them face up, you kind of do get a sense of what the other player's doing because you can see what they have in their hand at the time.
Right. So I drew a Vulpix. I may only play basic Pokemon to the bench, and I can only have up to 5 Pokemon here, so says the book. And it wants me to put Vulpix face up on the bench. So I will move her up.
Oh, yeah, let's take a look at Vulpix there. So Vulpix has a smashed kick. Now, there are other things on the cards that do not get approached in this starter. So you'll notice down here, there's another bar here for weakness. But that's something that doesn't actually come up here. It is part of the advanced stuff, but we won't see the weakness and strengths in the basic game that we're about to play, or we are playing.
So now Vulpix is on the bench. I'm going to move her right here. I get to attach an energy card from my hand to Sizzlipede. So now he has 2, which will allow me to use his more powerful move, Ember, when it is time. But it says I can use either attack if I wish.
Yeah.
I'm attacking with Ember. It does 20 damage to your Yamper. So I get to put 2 of these energy counters on you.
So Yamper has a total of 70 and 20 has been done. So there's 50 left. A little bit of basic math.
And attacking is the last thing that we can do. So I will now pass the turn to you, Joe.
Great. Okay. Now for me, I draw a card. It's Hop. So Hop is wrong button. Hop is a trainer card. And it says when you play a trainer card, it wants me to play it. So I'm going to do that. When you play a trainer card, follow the instructions on it and then put it in the spot labeled discard pile. Hop says draw 3 cards. So I am going to draw 3 cards and put Hop on my discard. I am drawing Luxio, Blitzel, and Boltund. And I put Blitzel face up on one of the spaces on my bench. So I will put that one there. And that card, we'll just take a look at Blitzel. Blitzel, all of the Pokemon in this deck are lightning type. And so he has a Zap Kick ability and 60 health there. So I'll put Blitzel on my bench. And it also tells me now to attach another energy to Yamper. which just like you did with Sizzlipede, will now allow me to use both of the attacks. I have both bite and zap kick. So I'm going to attack with a zap kick, and that does 20 damage. You're welcome to go ahead and grab those.
20 damage.
So we put 2 of those on there. So now it's been 30 damage has been done.
And now he has 50 hit points left.
And now it is my opponent's turn. So just as thing to take a quick look at, the book actually tells you what everything should look like on that turn too, which is kind of neat. And it does.
So far, so good.
So far, so good.
Draw a card. It is another Sizzlipede.
Sizzlipede. Oh yeah, so cool.
Add my hand. Attach an energy card to the Vulpix on my bench. So it wants me to begin powering up Vulpix.
Yeah.
Because there's no reason really to attach more fire energy to my Sizzlipede. Right. I can already retreat and do his most powerful move.
Yep.
But it reminds me I can only attach 1 energy per turn. So
yes.
If I wanted to do both, I can't.
Cool. Okay.
And it says to use Ember on Yamper to deal 20 more damage to it. So Yamper is down to 30 hit points.
Wow. All right. So now I get to go, right? I think that because it was the attack, so that should be the end of the turn. So now on my 3rd turn, I'm drawing a card. It's a lightning energy card, kind of normal because, well, lightning. And it tells me to attach 1 to the Blitzel on my bench. And then it talks about retreating. So once during your turn, you can retreat your active Pokemon and switch it with one of the Pokemon on your bench. To do so, discard 1 energy from the Pokemon in the active spot for each symbol in the lower right corner of its card. And then that's where it shows the retreat. We'll show that in a moment. Mm-hmm. So it wants me to switch Yamper with Blitzel. So I'm going to just move these for a second so I can show Yamper here. And the retreat cost is right down here. So the retreat for Yamper is 1.
And that will discard the energy card.
Yeah. So I take the energy card and I put it on the discard. It says discard 1 energy from Yamper and switch Yamper with Blitzel. So Yamper will still have that damage because unless you find something to heal, they retain the damage.
Unlike in Magic.
Unlike. So I'm going to put Yamper over on the right here, and I'm going to move Blitzel up to my active spot. Let's see. So now I can use Blitzel's Zap Kick to do 20 damage to Sizzlipede.
Oh, I'm in trouble now.
And since that's my attack, that will be the last thing I'm doing on my turn.
All right. So here is the fun part. I draw. And I draw
4th turn.
Centiskorch. Centiskorch evolves from Sizzlipede. Mm-hmm. And here it's going to give us a little walkthrough on how to evolve our Pokemon.
Let's evolve a Pokemon.
Pokemon like Centiskorch that say a Stage 1 or Stage 2 are evolutions of other Pokemon. And they can only be played on top of the Pokemon shown in the top left of the card, just in case you didn't know.
Cool.
So it says to put Centiskorch on top of Sizzlipede to evolve it. All of the damage saves. Mm-hmm. So he is still out 50 hit points. But now he has a base hit point of 130, bringing him down to 80 now.
Nice, okay. So yeah, typically an evolved Pokemon has more attacks or stronger attacks and more health as well.
Mm-hmm. And it says you can only evolve a Pokemon that was already in play at the beginning of your current turn. Yeah. And I believe that includes the bend.
I think so too, yeah. It just can't be in your hand.
Right. Yeah. It has to be out. Mm-hmm. So it says to attach an energy card to Centiskorch. I have 2 left.
Nice.
Now I'm down to 1 in my hand, and that gives him 3 fire energy.
So his Heat Blast uses 3 energy.
Yep.
That's why you're attaching 3.
2 fire and 1 of any color, which I guess allows you to have a 2-color.
Yeah, because you can do more than 1. Yeah.
Okay.
And there are rules around that, but for the starter, these pre-made decks that we're playing, there's a specifically all lightning and specifically all fire.
Right.
Yep.
So
and then in the advanced one, just for a little expose, the advanced one is all dark energy.
Cool.
So Eevee's that deck is dark.
That's cool. I was wondering what it would evolve
into.
It's
a little different.
So it tells me to use Heat Blast. which will deal 100 damage to your Blitzel.
And guess what that does? It's going to knock Blitzel out. Because 100 damage does it. So what does it say?
It says this will add more damage counters than Blitzel's HP number, so Blitzel's knocked out. The Pokemon and all of its attached cards go to your opponent's discard pile. Your opponent then chooses one of the Pokemon on their bench and moves it into the active spot.
Emperor goes back into the active spot.
And the last thing that I do is take one of your prize cards.
I'm going to take one of yours.
One of my prize cards. You're right. And then I put it into my hand.
Yep.
Interesting. Now I get to use it.
Yeah, so it's this mechanic within Pokemon. Now, normally there are 6 prize cards. Because this is a truncated game, we're doing 4.
Okay.
And you can actually see on the board 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spots.
Gotcha.
Well, we're doing 4 for the beginner game. And the way it works is every time you knock an opponent's Pokemon out, you get to take one of your prize cards, which is essentially a card from your deck that was random because you shuffled.
Right.
And you always hope it's going to be a cool card
So
that
it
you
rewards
get.
you
Yeah.
for
And it's your
aggressive.
own prize card. So you take that and you put it in your hand and you can immediately play it.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't immediately play it because you just attacked, but it's ready to be played, right?
Awesome. Okay.
So once you've taken the last prize card, that's when you win.
Gotcha. So that's all you do. Take the last one and you win.
Yep. Or if your opponent has no Pokemon to move into the active spot, you also win.
So it would behoove you to
always
put
have
him out
more.
on the bench.
And I think my 4th turn is about to do that. So I think we're done with yours, right? All right. So my 4th turn, my Pokemon was knocked out. So my opponent did 100 damage to the Blitzel, which is now in the discard pile. So I did that. Your opponent took one of their prize cards. Now it's my turn. I draw a card to start my turn. It's a potion. So
Very
a
helpful.
potion card is a trainer card. And you can see it can heal 30 damage from one of your Pokemon. So I'm going to take that. And it says now I have many options. I can play the potion to heal damage from Yamper. I can evolve the Yamper into Boltund because I have that card. And I can play basic Pokemon from your hand to my bench. It's all up to you. Now, this is where I was telling you, Joey, before we started. At some point, the game just turns it over to you to continue playing. This is that point. So I think we do not have a 5th turn. Yep.
Nope. Yeah. Now it only tells me what I can do.
Yeah. So here, this is where we go into the next phases. So I'm going to do a little bit of what it said. A couple of things. I am going to use the potion. And I'm going to heal 30 damage from Yamper.
Healing him back up to 60.
Yeah. And then I'm going to do the evolution with Boltund.
Cool.
Which, I'm going to throw that card. It evolves from Yamper, and that's when Joe was reading it. That's where it shows right at the top of the card.
What a good boy.
Yeah. And it has a stronger bite. And now also can do a electro dash instead of the zap kick. So we're putting a Boltund on there. And I can put any basic Pokemon from my hand to the bench. And that's any amount, by the way, when you do that. I think it actually says that, step 2 on our turn, put basic Pokemon onto your bench, as many as you want.
Cool.
So I'm actually going to do that now. I'm going to take the 3 basic ones I have and put them onto the bench. And it says right on the board here that your bench can hold up to 5 Pokemon. All Pokemon put here must be basic. So they leave spaces just big enough for the cards. Line them up perfectly. I have not played an energy yet. I need to put another energy on Boltund because it needs at least 2 for its bite. So that's what I'm going to do there. And you can also put basic, blah, blah, blah. You can retreat. You can evolve as many as you want. So I have Luxio, which evolves Shinx. So we'll show that a little here. Shinx that I already put on my bench. There's that card. And then it will evolve to Luxio there.
Cool.
So I'm going to do that right now. While I have the Shinx on my bench, I will evolve it to Luxio. So I'm essentially like just throwing everything out there now. And the only thing I'm keeping in my hand right now is my energy card. So I believe I'm going to play do my last thing on my turn, which is the attack.
Okay.
And it does kind of point out this is what Joey said in the book. It tells you all the steps of your turn there as well. And the last thing is attacking. And in this case, that will be what I'm doing. We're going to use Bolton with the 2 energy that's attached to do the bite for 50 damage.
Great.
And then we have 50 markers, or markers that have a 50 on it.
So
So that's
altogether,
now.
Sun to Scorch has 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 damage.
100, nice. So 30 more.
Down to 30.
However, I know that thing can do 100 damage. So at the end of my attack, that's the end of my turn. So I'll pass it over to you.
Now, I don't know the cadence of Pokemon games.
It can be
drop
quick.
fire energy.
Nice.
It feels like we have a lot of game left to play.
It can be, but also it can move back and forth quick. Now that we're not reading through a turn and we're just going to narrate our turn instead, I think a lot of it will go a little quicker. Just like since I already put all of my Pokemon out on my bench, I don't have any in my hand that I'm going to be playing next time.
Right.
So that part will move quicker as we go.
Got it. So I will be putting Victini and Sizzlipede onto the bench. I will show the one-on-one camera when it's time to play them.
Yeah. And another thing, just as a side note at least, I'm not a Pokemon Master player by any stretch, and I don't know enough about some of the strategies. Like, I don't know if it's smart for me to be putting all the basic ones out or not.
Right.
I do know, though, that if you do not have one on your bench, when your active Pokemon is knocked out, you lose.
Yeah.
You need something to move. So you at least want one. I don't know if it's smart of me or for you to have put all of them out. I want to say maybe, maybe not. It kind of depends because you can be holding a card to bluff.
Yeah. Here at Card Universe, I have seen a few different trainer cards that you can put into your deck that will switch out cards that you have on your bench with your active Pokemon.
Yeah.
So if you were trying to build up your Luxio, it would be very beneficial of me to be able to switch out like a defenseless Luxio to then deal 100 damage to it. So I guess it just depends on what people have in their deck. Yeah,
definitely. And it's really not just what's in the deck, but something like you just mentioned where you can switch out active Pokemon with one on the bench is another way to not have to retreat and pay the cost of a retreat. So there's a lot of cool things that come into play.
Exactly. I will use my fire energy on Vulpix to make her go up to 2 fire, and I will play my Ninetales and evolve her.
So that one evolves from Vulpix. Nice. Okay. This goes right on top.
Yeah.
You don't know enough.
One of the things that gets me, as I don't play Pokemon a lot, is how much things start stacking up.
Yeah.
And it's like, you got to kind of keep track of what things are where. Plus, with the limited space they give us on this board for the bench, like you're seeing there, where you're taking up a lot of space with an evolved Pokemon with 2 energy on it.
Yeah, it's hard to keep track. The last thing I will do is use Heat Blast to deal 100 damage to Volta.
And the 100's a nice big counter. Look at that.
Really?
I am 100 points.
And I will pass.
And he has 120. So that means he only has 10 left. All right. I will draw a card. I'm going to keep that narrating from what we can do. Now, the only 2 things, as far as I'm aware of, that are in any real order is you start your turn by drawing a card. You end your turn by attacking if you can. And if you can't, that's the end of your turn. All the stuff in the middle, you can do in any order you want.
Okay.
So putting basic Pokemon onto the bench, evolving them, playing 1 energy, retreating, playing a trainer card, all of that can be done at any time between the draw and the attack.
Got it.
So we don't have to necessarily go in any of this specific order, except, again, you start by drawing and you end by attacking.
It gives you the most options if you do it that way, because then you have Pokemon that you can actively put the energy on, but that's not necessarily how you have to do things.
Yep. So I actually have a note here that I'm going to refer back in the earlier in the game. It talks about retreating. Let's see. I attacked with the zap kick. Was it the 3rd turn? Yeah, so you can retreat your active Pokemon. And it tells you you retreat for each symbol in the lower right corner of the card, and that's something that we had talked about, and that's on the card itself. However, if you don't see any symbols, it means a Pokemon can retreat without discarding energy. I call that out because Boltund has no retreat cost.
Oh, great.
So thankfully, I can swap him out.
Too fast.
Yeah. Now, I think I'm going to end up moving. This is where I got to make that decision because the book's not telling me what to do anymore. I don't have any other things out here that are ready to attack with just one energy. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put one energy on Blitzel here and then retreat Bolthund and put Blitzel as my active. And here, I probably should have thought that different. But hey, we're going to do it anyway. I was going to say, because I thought I was going to do enough damage for Scorch, but I'm not.
Almost.
I'm going to be so close.
Almost.
We are going to make the attack, though. And I'm going to use Blitzel's Zap Kick, and I think this is the one I already had out, so it shouldn't be too much of a surprise. But the Zap Kick will do 20 damage. I'll put that 20. And I don't know Pokemon etiquette per se, but the book tells you to put the counters on the card as
Gotcha.
the player.
Right.
So I don't know if that's normal or not. Normally in a game, in most games, players will touch their own stuff.
Yeah.
So like normally I would say I'm doing 20 damage and I would expect you to put it on there, but the book tells you put the counters on. So anybody that knows the right Pokemon etiquette.
Yeah, I'd love to know.
Yeah,
I would love
me
to know
too.
how the game normally would play.
Which is a note here at Card Universe. I think Sundays is Pokemon Day.
Yep.
And there is at least one like master Pokemon dude who can show people and give them tutorials on what to do.
His name is Bo. He's a Pokemon professor.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing. I'll definitely have to show up on a Sunday sometime and learn more proper.
Yeah.
But so far, I think this is going well. I did my attack. That's the end of my turn. I think Scorch is about to beat the crap out of Blitzel, but let's let Joey go.
You have plenty of other Pokemon to play. I will say that. I will draw Sizzlepede, add him to his twin.
Nice. So now you have 4 on the bench. You have room for 1 more.
Yeah. I will attach a fire energy to my new Sizzlepede. Begin building him up. And I will use Scorch's final power, the Heat Blast, to deal 100 damage to Blitzel. Yeah. A lot of damage.
It is, and it's enough to knock Blitzel out, which is good. Now, the other part of the strategy, again, since the book isn't telling us anymore, Scorch has 3 for a retreat cost, and there are 3 energy on it. So Joey could have retreated, but at the same time, it only has 10 health left. And I feel like it's better to do that knockout now than to retreat and try some other trickery.
Exactly, because then if I even were to be able to play him again, I would need to build him up from nothing, no energy, and then only be able to deal 30 damage.
So Blitzel is getting knocked out. Poor Blitzel.
Now that would mean that I would begin winning, I think, like the energy building game, because you're trying to deplete your opponent of resources.
Not a bad note. Yeah, definitely. And you knocked out a Pokemon, so you take a card.
Correct. And I add it to my hand.
I'm going to move Luxio. Am I though? This is the tricky one. No, I'm going to move Boltund up there.
All right.
You're ready to die, but you're also going to be the active Pokemon for now, buddy. Sorry.
Someone's got to do it.
Yeah. Okay. I guess I go now.
I will pass.
Let's see. I got another Sphinx. I got another basic. I'm going to put that right onto my bench. Got to remember the words, Joe. All right. So I've got Shinx, Zorora, and Luxio on my bench. I've got Boltund active. The good thing is it can still retreat with no cost. But I'm going to use just the bites. No, I'm not going to attack yet. I want to attach my energy.
You got one more.
Yeah, I want to attach it to Luxio, I think. Yeah. I'm going to attach that energy to Luxio. Then I'm going to use Bolton's bite because I only have 2 energy on it. So I can only use that bite. But it is 50 points, which is more than Scorch needs.
Now, that Scorch stuck around for a long time.
It did. But that's going to knock him out. I'm going to take a card.
Nice.
Yeah. And that's a prize card I'm taking. So now I have 3 prize cards left.
It's all go to my...
Joey has 2, though, just these 2. And then you have to move one of your bench Pokemon up to the active spot.
I believe I will play Sizzlepede. Bringing him back.
Nice. Just keep going. And then similar to regular Magic in Pokemon, you can have duplicate cards.
Yeah.
So it's a certain number. I wonder if it's four.
I think it's 3.
Could be three.
I don't know. It could be. I know Yu-Gi-Oh!
It's
3.
something other than zero.
Right.
No, and more than one.
At least one duplicate.
Yeah, I would say it's because you have three of them. You have
Which is
three
great, yeah.
centipedes. Yeah.
So I guess it'll depend.
We'll see. All right, and that was the end of my turn, so you go right ahead.
I will draw. I drew a Vulpix. You've
Smash
seen him
kick.
before, but he's a brand new boy. Play him onto the bench. Why not?
And that one is not yet evolved. So you do have the Ninetales.
I will attach one of my fire energies to Sizzlipede.
Uh-oh.
I'm hoping that there's another Scorch in here somewhere so that he'll be ready to go. In the meantime, though, I will use his Ember to deal 20 damage to Bolton. Which I believe is enough.
Is knocked out.
All right.
Bolton and the energy attached to it goes to my discard pile. Joey takes a prize card, and I move Luxio up into the active spot.
All right.
Cool. And then I get to go. I will draw a card. I will draw cards. And since these are in order, this is what the game intends you as a starter to get. So it's like they make sure you get a good enough draw that you can use everything that you have, which is nice. So I'm going to attach a second energy to Luxio so I can use the Electric Claws.
Ouch.
Electric Claws, or Santa Claus does 50 damage, or do 50 damage to Sizzlipede.
Well, that's a lot of damage.
It is. And Sizzlipede can only do 10 or 20 back. So I feel like Luxio can last more than a turn. My other guys are just getting knocked out. And Joey's only got one prize card left to pick up. I have 3. So let's see how this goes. I'm done. That's my attack. My turn's done.
I will draw. Ooh, one of my favorites. Larvesta.
It's a basic Pokemon.
Very cool. I will add it to my bench. And I will go ahead and attach a fire energy to Larvesta to get her powered up. And
you have 5 on your bench too.
Yeah.
So now your bench is full. If you had another basic Pokemon, you could not put it out on top.
Gotcha. There's nothing you can do with benched Pokemon other than play them.
Yep.
Got it. So I will use Sizzlipede's Ember ability to deal 20 damage to Luxio. Get that damage game going. And that
All right. Now, this is the card that lets me win.
Here it is.
No, it's not. It is just another energy card. However, I will start attaching energy to whom? Haven't had Zorora out there yet. So, and as a basic, has 120 health.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Zeraora doesn't evolve, so they kind of need him to be able to be powerful enough to
so
survive.
You know some of these things. I do.
I know mostly video game stuff, but I am very I have touching knowledge.
I played on like my Nintendo 3D XL.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of the Pokemon games on that.
They're fun.
Yeah,
they're so much fun. I do a lot of Pokemon emulation on my phone. So people make their own Pokemon games. They take the base games and they edit them.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Oh, there's a thriving community.
There's my weekend.
Oh, I have plenty of recommendations after that.
Cool. So I attached my energy. I'm going to go ahead with the attack because that's going to let me knock out Sizzlipede. So Electric Claws does 50. We don't need to bother putting the token on there because that had 50 already. So
I believe you. That happens plenty.
Out, and you can move one of yours up from the bench, and I will take another prize card.
It's going to be
another
energy. Going to be Ninetales.
And that is the end of my turn.
I will draw for turn. Fire energy.
Of course, the Ninetales you moved up can do 70 damage. Luxio has 70 health left.
Just enough for me to take my final prize card. Ninetales has 3 fire energies. Or no, only 2, but 2 is enough. I will use Supernatural Flames to deal 70 damage to your Luxio, which is enough for the game.
Yep. And that knocks out Luxio, and that's the last prize card. Now, they did set it up. So at this point, you can see that's the end of the game. But they did set this up so that all of the prize cards are energy.
Perfect.
Which is not what would normally be the case, but that's okay.
That would be good luck. I would think maybe.
Maybe because, well, I'm thinking of it from the perspective of if you've got 4 prize cards as energy, then you don't have them in cards you can draw.
I would
So you
just
might
hate.
get short on energy depending on how the deck is structured.
I would hate to only have Ninetales and Sentinel Scorch in my hand without any of my basic.
Yeah.
If those were the prize cards, that'd be kind of tough.
Yep. So when we go through this, I think, to me at least, it is almost inevitable that the red deck is going to win over the yellow deck. I think it is pretty close. That's the way it's going to happen. Because I can't imagine too many different ways this could have gone. However, the way the book talks you through the beginning turns is really cool. Plus, the rules reference also has all of, like I mentioned before, the advanced play stuff. So there's more to the advanced play. And the advanced play talks about putting the 6 cards off as prize cards, right? And you put your first basic Pokemon face down in the active spot when you actually start a normal game.
Gotcha.
He did it face up because everything in the starter was face up. Actually, step 1 is shake hands with your opponents. You don't do that.
Love that.
Right.
This must have been in a pre-COVID world.
Yeah. But then you flip the coin to see who goes next. You shuffle the deck, then you draw the top 7 cards and have them in your hand, just like the tutorial game. But this time we put those one basic Pokemon face down. And then, oh, by the way, if you don't have any basic Pokemon in your hand, you can do a mulligan. The way mulligans work in Pokemon, if you don't have any basic Pokemon in your first hand of 7 cards, show them to your opponent, shuffle them back into your deck, draw 7 new cards. Repeat if you still don't have any basic Pokemon. But after you get a basic Pokemon, your opponent may draw a card for each time you had to draw a new hand. So your opponent gets more cards if you mulligan.
Wow.
Rather than you getting fewer cards, like in the way Magic can play.
Yeah. They're punishing you for bad deck building.
In this case, your opponent just gets more cards, which is kind of neat because you don't have a limited hand size.
I was going to ask that.
Yeah.
You had Hop that made you draw 3.
Yeah.
And I think you had 8 or 9 cards at that point.
And when we shuffled these and played through, I want to say there was like 3 of those cards in here. Like here, shuffle your hand into your deck and then draw 5 cards. So if you didn't have any cards in your hand, if that was your last card, you're still going to draw 5.
Right.
If you could shuffle all your cards in, draw more.
There's no limit to the amount of trainers you can play, right?
You can play 1 per turn.
Only 1 trainer card.
1 trainer in a turn.
Gotcha.
And then you can see on the bottom of your deck, the one it was built off of. So this is the Pikachu that is the featured card of the deck. The thing is, it's the last card. So you never actually play it in the starter until you shuffle and play a normal game.
Gotcha.
And then you had, which one?
Cinderace.
Cinderace.
Which is interesting as a basic creature.
Yeah.
Because normally you have to evolve him twice to be able to get him.
But that's cool.
Wow. See, and he does make you discard fire energy. So he's like an engine. You'll have
this
to keep
card, this one too, discard all energy from the Pokemon when you use the Thunderbolt.
Gotcha.
And I guess that goes along with the lore that Pikachu's usually all wiped out.
Yeah.
Once he does his big attack.
Poor guy.
He's so tired all the time. Poor fella. So we have here, the only other thing let's give a quick look at is in the advanced deck, we mentioned it has Eevee and it's dark energy. So we can at least show the cool Eevee card that comes with it. And that one is, I guess, the any color energy, but all of the cards in the deck are all dark energy. Oh, I got to turn that off in order to see this thing behind it. But they're all dark energy.
Very cool.
Like Sharpedo, which is cool.
Does Eevee evolve into Umbreon in this deck?
I don't think so.
So it stays as Eevee.
Yeah.
Got it.
I think in this one, it's all just they evolve them with each other, like the decks that we played.
Right.
The basics that are in it are the evolution. Right, exactly.
Got it.
And I think it's because they give you this nice fancy foil card in there. But yeah, the advanced deck has a couple of more concepts in it. It has the flipping coins, which is something that is in the decks we played, but just not in the starter setup.
Got it.
So that's that. What'd you think?
I thought it was pretty good. I mean, it taught us exactly how to play. I knew a few things going into it, but every question I had it answered.
Mhm.
I like one board instead of two for Pokemon instead of Magic.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
makes it feel more intimate. It's
Yeah,
nice to
and
play
it
board.
puts it all in one spot. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the idea of prize cards. I like the
Right.
idea of it rewarding you for being aggressive and for trying to knock out their Pokemon.
Yeah, and one of the other things that's interesting to that is you don't track players' life, right? It's
Right.
not, you're not trying to kill the other player. You're just knocking their Pokemon out, and you're winning based on how many you knock out.
And that kind of like rewards you for defensive play for
Yeah.
retreating.
Yep.
Because you don't want your opponent to get that card advantage.
Yeah, exactly.
So I liked it. I thought that this was a really good introduction into learning how to play Pokemon.
And you get 3 full decks, like real decks of Pokemon cards that you can play.
Yeah.
They're not limited to just the starter. The Pikachu deck, you can just shuffle and play as a regular deck. The same with both the EV and the Cinderace. So these cards are fully usable outside of the starter. So it's very neat.
I'm not as familiar, maybe somebody else would know, but how powerful are these decks compared to other kind of like pre-constructed
I'd say
Pokemon
they're
decks you
pretty
can
they're
buy?
pretty low end
Gotcha.
overall, based on the ones I've had. So over the years, I've had pre-constructed decks because I like playing pre-constructed decks
Yeah.
personally. And these are pretty low end. There's plenty you can do against each other,
Yeah.
but against somebody who's actually built a deck or has some of the other pre-constructed decks, you're probably not going to do that well.
Gotcha.
But it's a really good way to start. Plus, you can then mix and match these cards as well.
Yeah.
And if you have a nice local shop like Card Universe, you can go buy singles, you can go buy booster packs, you can make the decks you want with the cards that you can find at your local gaming store.
Absolutely.
But I think for this setup, with the full box of stuff, all the information on how to play, the read this first, the books, the specific books for both Pikachu, for Cinderace, and then just the rules reference. This is actually a pretty good rules reference too. I had mentioned it has all of the different things that you can do, the parts of your turn, just honestly, just different stuff.
Yeah. It talks all about
Yeah,
everything you would need to
parts,
know.
all of the parts of a Pokemon card. Very good stuff to know because the print on Pokemon cards are tiny.
And I noticed it tells you about status conditions,
Yeah.
which we didn't really run into, but
No.
burned and paralyzed are two conditions that these decks could have in them.
Poison is another condition too. And then, so it actually talks about those winning conditions. All of your prize cards, or knock out all of your opponent's Pokemon that are in play. And if your opponent has no cards in their deck at the beginning of the turn, you win as well.
Gotcha.
That's another way. And that's one that's true with Magic and a lot of other games. If you run out of your deck, your library, or whatever,
Yeah.
you lose. So I think it's a very good box. That's the Pokemon. If you could grab the top
Yeah.
again, we'll just put that back up here. But the Pokemon Battle Academy. Of course, you can find it at your local game shop. You can find it here at Card Universe. It's actually on the shelf right over behind Joey, about 10 feet or so. But I think that wraps it up. We're going to say that one more time. We're going to wrap that up for us here at Card Universe, and we'll just say bye.
See you later.
The preceding podcast was brought to you by One Joe Young. You can find us online at adventuresfromtheshed.com.